Marc, thank you so much for this interview. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
It's great to see you. Thank you for having me.
So, you are one of the producers and among the closest friends of the First Lady of the United States, Melania Trump. How did your relationship begin?
Well, it started commercially a long time before her son, Barron, was born. She came to me in Manhattan with an idea to work together strategically to build up her commercial lifestyle vertical. And we did that a long time ago. You might recall, or your audience might recall, before the first Trump administration, before the first Trump presidency, there was a lot of chatter about the First Lady's businesses, which included also real groundbreaking stuff, jewelry collection, a timepiece collection. I partnered her with Vacheron Constantine, I remember, for an incredible experience in Manhattan, celebrating the luxury timepieces. I think it was 250th anniversary, Cadillac and beyond. And that was the impetus behind us working together. I have to admit, she was always a very dedicated family person, even back then. So there were some deals that I brought to her, which, ended up not coming to fruition because she was prioritizing her son, for example, which is, in retrospect, it's so typical First Lady Melania Trump, family first.
It's like America first, but for Melania Trump is America. It's the family first.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
So for those who don't know Melania personally, who is Melania Trump to you?
Well, for me, she's one of the most compelling, hardworking individuals in my life. As you're aware, I am her exclusive senior advisor, and I work with her on her branding platform. And then we focus on her commercial endeavors. You mentioned the movie, but also the book, the digital assets, the Christmas ornaments. We work strategically with regards to her philanthropy, fostering the future, and her communications. But she's consistently one of the most innovative people. For example, I mentioned the book and I mentioned the film. She's actually the art director and the creative director behind all of these endeavors. She drives the vision for the overall look and feel and the concepts. For example, with the movie, the theme of the movie was her idea. The way the movie was built out from a production perspective reflected her vision and her life. But then she went into the edit room on the post-production side, played a major role in the overall look and feel, selection of the music, the ad campaign, and beyond. So Melania Trump, to me, is one of the most hardworking individuals, caring. She's obviously very into her humanitarian and philanthropic efforts, very family oriented, and proud to be America's First Lady.
It's so beautiful. So the film, as you said, it focuses on the 20 days leading up to the inauguration. Why did you or she choose that specific window of time?
Melania Trump came up with the idea, and she chose these 20 days because they've never been examined before. This is the first time in history that the 20 days of an incoming First Lady's life is examined. And this is what we do in the film. Essentially, what Melania did was she authored an experience for the viewers, for the moviegoers, that opens the lens into her family life, her career, and her philanthropy. But what's really interesting is it all happens as she marches back into Washington, D.C., back into the White House. So we watch her planning the United States presidential inauguration events. We watch her selecting her team. She literally hired her staff in the movie, on the set of the movie. It's unprecedented access to what a First Lady needs to do to make sure that her nation looks excellent. She has the best team in the East Wing. And frankly, she sets herself up for long-term success.
I just want to know, who is her stylist?
It's a good question, and I'll be honest with you. She actually, this is what people don't understand about her. And you have to go see the movie for the evidence. The proof is in the movie. But she's her own visionary when it comes to how she dresses and what she wears, her apparel, her accessories, anything that you see the First Lady wearing, she drives that vision. In the film, we go deep into those iconic looks that she has at the inauguration, the hat, the beautiful gown that was just inducted permanently in the Smithsonian's collection here in Washington, D.C. But all of that vision is hers. And in the film, you'll see the influence comes from her mother. Her mother was in the fashion industry as a designer. And the First Lady understands, as a result, engineering and construction for her apparel and her design. So she's the one that really drives the creative direction for her own wardrobe.
Wow, what a huge inspiration for everyone.
It's
Throughout the
cool.
film, we saw the strong connection she has with the released hostages, Keith and Aviva Siegel. She was working behind the scenes and pushing for the release. How did this connection begin?
Well, to be honest, this is one of, I think, her most proud moments. Obviously, this meeting, which is highlighted, this initial meeting is highlighted in the film with the freed Israeli hostage, Aviva Siegel, who I love dearly. Aviva, if you're watching this, you know how much I love you and Keith and your family. But this was like a pivotal moment. We had an opportunity to meet with Aviva Siegel and her daughter in New York City, and Mrs. Trump, with open arms, invited Aviva Siegel into her home. And they had this initial meeting, which really served as the catalyst for a series of events which ultimately led to Keith's freedom. Aviva Siegel, at that point in time, she was making mountains move. She was such a dedicated person to the freedom of Keith, but also to all of the Israeli hostages and to fight for all of the families. And she continues on that fight today. But ultimately, after the cameras stopped rolling and Melania and Aviva were talking, Aviva shared a book that she made by hand about Keith and about October 7th, and she requested that Mrs. Trump share her story and Keith's story and the book itself with President Trump. And later that night, the First Lady went and shared the story with her husband, and the rest is history. It's an incredible story. For me, I'm so proud to be a part of it. I'm so grateful to have been a part of it. Something I learned is that there are no coincidences in life. I believe that some kind of a stronger force brought us all together. Aviva Siegel did not know about my relationship with the First Lady, and it was incredible how we came together. And very grateful for it, because Keith Siegel is an incredible human being. He's a visionary. His mind works in ways unlike anybody I've ever met. And hopefully at some point, people will tap into his mind a little bit more than he's showing so far, because he's an incredible human being. And like I said, I just can't stress how much I love these people and how grateful I am for everything that the First Lady and the President did to help Keith and Aviva, and honestly, all of the families of the hostages and the hostages themselves. I mean, really, President Trump got them all home. It's amazing.
I'm about to cry. Thank you so much for sharing your side of the story. I have goosebumps. What did she share with you after the last meeting here in the White House?
Well, look, what did who share? Aviva and Keith?
Also,
or the
Aviva
First Lady?
and the First Lady.
Yeah. This is the thing. Behind the scenes, there's like a nice relationship that developed. This was not transactional at all. The First Lady really cares about both Aviva and Keith and keeps in touch with them. She communicates with them. I'm aware of it because I'm involved too. So they spent some time together after the big moment with the media and all, which is great. And Aviva and Keith were able to share with the First Lady some of the important programs and projects that they're working on as it relates to civil rights and individual liberty, freedom at the core, some of their new projects. Aviva, as you are probably aware, and a lot of your audience knows, is coming out with a new book. She's launching a new book right now, which is an important story. But they stay in touch and they share messages and voice messages. And
Wow.
the First Lady's very authentic. She doesn't do things for show. It's all real.
Wow. Which moment in the movie was the most maybe difficult or most emotional for Melania?
Well, I guess, I don't want to speak for her. It's not right. But, there were some very poignant moments in the film. I'm sure that you could appreciate. She was very committed to her mother. They were extremely close. And the movie, when we were shooting, happened to coincide with the 1 year anniversary of the passing of her mother. And there's a day that was very heavy for the First Lady. She had to go to Washington, D.C. for President Carter's funeral, and then she flew back to New York City later that evening to pay respect to her mother on the day that her mother passed away a year earlier. So I would imagine that if your viewers see it, they'll understand that that was a very poignant moment for the First Lady, for sure. Very sensitive, as you can
Wow.
imagine, for any daughter
Of
that
course.
loses a mother.
There have been, I saw that a few claims that the meeting with the Seagulls was intended to promote the movie. How did you or she respond to this kind of criticism?
Well, the First Lady responded in a very elegant way. Essentially, she scolded the media for making that kind of accusation. For me, I'm not as elegant as the First Lady might be, and for me, I think it's pathetic that we're living in a world today where here we are for that was the first time that Keith Siegel was able to sit down with Melania Trump for a one-on-one meeting since the rescue occurred. The first time he got to meet the person that provided a series of events to support his liberty, his individual freedom. And for me, people need to get a grip of themselves. It's time to realize how ridiculous and pathetic you are to make a challenge for everything, even something as important and as pure as a freed Israeli hostage. It's pathetic, and the media needs to wake up and realize what they're doing. It's just not right.
We have a word in Hebrew, chutzpah, for this kind of thing.
Well, my grandfather used to say that I had chutzpah, but it was in a good way. I was nervy. I was fun. This is low. I mean, it's really low to make that kind of an accusation to the First Lady of the United States who freed this person. It's pathetic. It's really bad. There aren't a lot of people that can make that claim, but I know for sure firsthand because I was there with her. That meeting with Aviva Siegel did lead to Keith's freedom ultimately, and it's really important.
Wow. During the production or after the film's release, did you encounter anti-Semitism reactions or maybe online attacks?
Yeah, that's unfortunate, but yes, in a major way. I think the most horrific situation surrounding the anti-Semitism is specifically to the woman that shot the advertising campaign, that iconic black and white image campaign of the First Lady, which, by the way, was creative directed by Melania Trump. That was her vision. But the woman that we brought in to shoot the campaign is arguably the most important fashion photographer on the planet. Her name is Ellen von Unwerth, and she's shot, incredible celebrities and some of the best luxury brands on the planet, from Chanel to Dior to Saint Laurent. She's an incredible person. Ellen von Unwerth, born in Germany. Also, interesting to note she was an orphan at some point. So she's a self-made individual. And she shot this, what I think is a very modern, iconic campaign. If you think about it, and I would challenge your viewers to take some time to really give this thought. What ad campaign did you see in 2026 that is as striking and as iconic and as modern as this vision that Melania Trump and Ellen von Unwerth put together? Well, of course, the social media losers couldn't handle the fact that these two powerful women came together and did something gorgeous. So they positioned von Unwerth as a Nazi. They are talking about her online and calling her Ellen von Nazi. They're comparing Adolf Hitler to President Trump. and Hitler's wife to Melania Trump, and Ellen von Unwerth to that despicable filmmaker that worked with Hitler on all of his propaganda. I think her name was Lenny something or other. And as a result, it's been horrible. Madonna posted some of these social media campaigns that were spitballing at Ellen von Unwerth. And when she posted on her social media channels, including TikTok, it was up for about a day or so. She's brought it down since then. But as a result, Ellen has just been, destroyed. It's been terrible for her. As you can imagine, it's so stupid because literally in the movie, we show the beginning of rescuing an Israeli hostage's life. And yet they claim that Ellen von Unwerth is Ellen von Nazi. And, poor Ellen, it's hit her terribly. She's a soulful, kind-natured, great person, super talented, and she's lost about 10 accounts. As a result, she's lost a ton of business. So if anybody out there is looking to hire an incredibly talented individual, Ellen von Unwerth is what you should be looking at. But, this is still going. This campaign to malign Ellen von Unwerth as a Nazi is just absurd. And it's so disappointing to me because the president and the first lady have done so much for Israel, for Jewish people, and it's not just in Israel, it's all over the world. I think arguably it's fair to say that President Trump is the best president in history to Israel, the best, hands down. And for them to compare him to Hitler is just hateful, disgusting, unnecessary rhetoric. And again, people need to start to examine what they're saying. We need to tone it down a little bit. You're ruining people's lives. You're putting people at risk. Their safety is at risk. President Trump has now they tried 2 assassination attempts on the guy's life.
3.
It's 3, I guess, including, I guess you're including
like a week ago in Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah,
Insane.
yeah, they shot and killed that guy at Mar-a-Lago. And it's time for people to examine their actions and take a check on all this. It's terrible.
Were you exposed to any hostile messages, threats, or organized campaigns during the production, even against Melania herself?
No, I wouldn't be able to. I'm not at liberty to share anything surrounding the First Lady's security, but nothing happened, specifically as it relates to that. Personally, I'm always attacked from the anti-Semites. That whole movement's pathetic. If you go and look, if anybody takes a minute to look on any of my social media channels, they'll see it like gets embedded in a heavy way because of the work I did to support Israel after October 7th. I'm, proud to share that I had on my little show for NYU, the Bibas family and Aviva Siegel and, the former director of Mossad, the former Israeli ambassador to the United States, and other incredible people that are Jewish and Israeli really fighting for the moral clarity that you and I understand, that your audience understands. And that anti-Semitism just keeps on hitting me. It just keeps on. It's the gift that keeps on giving. It's insane.
It's really insane. How did Melania respond to that? Did she consider maybe changing something in the movie as a result?
No way. She would never. She's very proud to have played a role in rescuing Keith Siegel's life. I mean, it's incredible. If you think about it, there aren't many people that could say that they've done something like that, and she certainly did. There were requests. This hasn't been shared publicly, but I'll share it with you for the first time. I was contacted directly, and there were some nations in the Middle East, 4 specifically, that came to us and said that they wanted to, quote unquote, censor the parts of the movie that featured Aviva Siegel. And then later on in the movie, when we announced that Keith Siegel was ultimately saved, that he was rescued, and my reaction, as you can imagine, was I was livid. I said, forget that. I was happy to give up distribution in all 4 territories, no distribution in those 4 countries. I would never, ever think about editing out Aviva Siegel and Keith Siegel's story just because they're Jewish. It's insane, but that's the world we're living in. And again, we need to keep our eyes open. Anti-Semitism and hate is at an all-time high, and I'm not sure that education is going to do it. I think we're looking at something that's like a darker, deeper force right now within society. I used to feel strongly that knowledge is power, and it allows for openness and consideration consideration, and we can as people work together. But I think there's a deeper hatred that we're looking at today, and unfortunately, you and your audience know it perfectly because of where you're sitting. You got some bad neighbors over there.
Very bad neighbors. After so many years of maintaining her privacy, what led Melania to step into the public eye and make this movie?
Well, this is the thing. She's a very selective person. The First Lady is very selective. And I think in this instance, she chose to tell this story because she realized so many people wanted to hear this story, which has never been told before. How does a private citizen transition back into the public eye as First Lady of the United States of America? She had a lot of fans that were asking to hear about this experience. And I think for her, it's a piece of history, American history, that needed to be shared with the public, that needed to be told. And that's why she did it.
There have been many interesting and influential First Lady, Nancy Reagan, Barbara Bush, Hillary Clinton, etc. But Melania is the only one who merited a movie. Why do you think is that?
Well, look, Melania Trump is...
First of all, she's one and only.
I was going to say, like, she's loaded with firsts right now. I mean, if you look at the past year of her as First Lady, she's redefining the role of the East Wing. Historically, the East Wing did a lot of important things for our nation, hosted, incredible state dinners for world leaders, or put the White House on stage to the world for moments in time that are important for our country, family events like Christmas and Easter and even Hanukkah. But now what she's doing is not so much about raising awareness for policy. That's what it used to be. She's being action oriented. So this individual has created new legislation in the Take It Down Act. This individual has created a new executive order for foster care kids. She's secured $30 million for individuals aging out of the foster care community for housing requirements. She's reunified Ukrainian and Russian children with their families, not once, not twice, but 3 times now. She's working on new legislation as we speak for the foster care community. She's standing up an entire educational vertical surrounding artificial intelligence across our nation. It's incredible. And then next week on Monday, she'll be the First Lady in history to address the United Nations Security Council, which personally, I'm not a fan of the Security Council or the UN in general, but maybe the First Lady could open their eyes and be impactful. And I think that's what she's thinking about. She's going to host at the White House at the end of March the inaugural meeting for Fostering the Future Together, which is a global coalition. She'll have about 50 nations attend. It's a global coalition to empower children through education and technology. Israel will be there. Israel is one of the presenting nations. We're very proud of that. We're really excited about that. So what we have here is a woman that is filled with firsts. And of course, she needs to be the first one to create an incredible movie, which opens with the Rolling Stones.
Oh my God. She's a huge inspiration. I think it's the 3rd time that I'm saying this. How did she raise her son? This is a little bit personal question. How did she raise her son without the usual hype and security that a president child usually commands?
Well, look, I would prefer to respect the privacy of the family. I think that's their business. But you could take a look at Barron. He was at the State of the Union last night, and you'll see he's a sharp guy. He's very smart, very committed to his family, very curious. He loves to build businesses. I won't be surprised if that kid becomes president of the United States someday. He's incredible.
Amen to that. Maybe in 2028, Barron 2028.
Cool.
How did her husband, President Trump, react to her movie, especially since he hasn't had a movie yet?
One of the best days of my life was sitting next to President Trump at the Kennedy Center, watching the premiere of the film for over 2,000 people. President Trump was so excited. the whole movie, he's like elbowing me saying, Mark, how did you get the Rolling Stones? How did you get Michael Jackson? Tell me about this. Tell me about that. There's that iconic moment where the First Lady says, here we go again. Mark, that's as important as The Godfather. Top 5 lines in history. It could be in Goodfellas. He is so enthusiastic. The night we had a private screening for friends and family at the White House, which predated the Kennedy Center event, he grabbed the microphone and he said, I am so proud of my wife. She had a best-selling book, and now she's got this film, which, as you know, it went to #1 here in the United States, #1 highest opening for a film, for a documentary film in 14 years. And the president has been so supportive. It's a good film. He's watched it more than once now, and I don't think he would if he didn't love it.
Wow. Good to know this about President Trump, that he's such a supportive husband in Melania. And now the most important question, will the movie be coming to Israel soon? And maybe can we expect to see Melania Trump at the premiere?
So the answer is yes. The film is going to be in theaters in Israel and will eventually be streaming too. So I hope everybody watching who wants to get a taste of this inspirational, powerful woman takes the time to see the film. And my hope is that someday we get Melania Trump into Israel, at the Knesset, at the Wall, and really to inspire young Gen Z and hopefully Gen Alpha women to be great at family and committed business people too.
Amen to that. I can't wait to see this happen. Marc, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for this interview. Much appreciated.
I'm so honored. I appreciate you, and your work is amazing. Obviously I'm a big fan of your work. So thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you.